Hey y'all, I am excited that it's me, that gets to announce this because, you know, that's just how the dice roll. But let's get talking about it. Today we are going to be discussing the game Rustbelt. It's my game that I'm going out, or me as a whole, under the name Linequin. We are putting out it hopefully next month. But I am really bad at doing introductions and blurbs and stuff, so I figured I was just going to ramble for a little bit. I've been trying to figure out how I want to do this video for a while, but this is how I figure I'm going to do it. I'm just going to talk at you at the screen through my V-Roid's voice, and tell you about the game. So the game is called Rustbelt. The first book is going to be called Ground Zero, and it takes place in an odd punk post-apocalyptic setting in the American Rust Belt, specifically in the Midwest area. The first book takes place in Chicago, for instance, or that's the setting in the book. You can set it wherever you want. It doesn't even have to be U.S. based. Um, the idea of the game is it is a small team skirmish game or small team skirmish survival game where you take your team, or 1 to 2 players take their teams of 4, and investigate areas to clear of anomalies, set up zones for power, electricity scavenging, as well as defend their homes and fight cryptids. The cryptids are procedurally generated. There is kind of like a ghost discovery style game when it comes to the investigation missions that itself has a procedural nature too. And even the maps have a procedural nature to it. The idea was you could sit down and roll up a game and have a different experience each time. The real the real star of the game though is the terrain. There are 12 pieces of terrain that all add to different rules on the table, flavors, adds to the mission, changes everything, even affects what monsters you can have. The idea of the game is every book that comes out will be as cheaply priced as I can put it, and still have it be sustainable, and it itself is a core book. So for instance, this book Rust Belt Ground Zero will be a core book. But when Second City or Digital Hauntings comes out, hopefully sooner than later, those two are core books. Those two are, you can just pick up one of them and play the whole game. But the real magic kind of happens when you have 3 books, where you can mix and match your what's called a neighborhood table, which kind of determines your table, like what pops up on your table that you're going through. Now, the game is designed for solo campaigns first and foremost. Like that is where the game really shines. But it does have a 2 player mode, and it does have ways where you can increase the size of the table. So it usually played on a 2 by 2 table that's broken down to 4 sectors. These sectors are 1 by 1 squares and feature one major terrain piece and might feature some scattered terrain. But as you grow and as the game grows, you might want to play a bigger game. You can take on 2 missions, which will increase the size of the table, even allow you to take troops as part of your list. You might want to play against players. Adding another player increases the size of the table and kind of how the missions work. There will be other ways you can do that too. Another thing, or coming in the future, I should say, another thing that I really love about this game, and another part of the game that really has been a focus, is the modularity of it with other games set in the Urde setting. Urde is the post-apocalyptic world, or the post-apocalyptic Earth that the game is taking place in. It's basically Earth, but twisted by the effects on the time space, or on time space, that have happened, causing weird things to happen. Uh, People from other times popping up into the time space or the current time period, or humans warping into creatures of the different folds, which we'll get to that in a second. We'll do a little bit of lore here in a second. As I said, I'm rambling. But like other games set in that setting will be compatible with Rustbelt and vice versa. So like say you really like your Rustbelt team, but you want a new challenge, you could take them and do some gameplay with Ghostwoods or with Derelict, two games that are coming in the future. And there's even going to be a sub game that is designed just to be played with the other games called Gates of Eidolon, where it's broken into its own little subcategories. All this will be priced as cheaply as I can so that you guys can get whatever full experience you want. That's my goal, is to have a low entry point, have it very accessible, and to give it a way for you to just live out these cinematic kind of experiences in the wasteland of Urde. But going into the lore, so what happened is corporations got in their head that they figured out this energy source called fold energy, creating these generators that pull radiation from subspace pockets called the folds. There's 5 of them in total, which we'll get into the 5 in a second. But as far as the scientists knew, that there was nothing wrong with them. They were just subspace. We start pulling energy from them, and these generators were cheap to run. Just they required a lot of man hours, but corporations started really, really running things. And in Chicago, the first generator, I've had a hard time saying the correct word. I say go up, but imploded, explode, however you want to put it, destroying the city and even tearing space time itself, creating a storm in the environment that caused the other cities to wall themselves off and even try to create sky bridges or to go up to satellites. We were already trying to explore the space or the space areas with these like skybridge satellites beforehand, but the city started really pushing for it. The area around Chicago warped and twisted due to the fold energy or fold radiation, and individuals there were scarred by it. Not just body but mind, causing them to have these immense psychic powers. But they hear a mysterious voice from a being called the Star Beast, who was the sole resident and ruler of one of the folds, the Void. Those who succumbed to the call became what were called the Hive, which is a hive mind under the Star Beast, where he feels like he's fixing all their problems. He views them as his children, but they lose individuality. They lose humanity. They become mindless beasts. The way I always described them to my friends were like, oh, you take feral ghouls from like Fallout and give them psychic powers. That's the hive. You make them a hive mind, make them all kind of work in this contingent together. And their warped Cronenbergian appearance. And that's the state of Chicago at the time. So you're running a camp of 4 Rift starting Ground Zero, which are the scarred individuals trying to survive, trying to push forward and build up a community, build up a camp, rebuild their own like little township, I guess you could say, or community to survive. It's not about selfishness. It's not about self-survival. It's about survival for everyone too. That's why solo focus is a big thing, but also there's co-op and there will be a versus, but the versus focuses on mission before killing each other. So then that's a lot about the setting of the first book. But I mentioned other games too, like Derelict, Ghostwoods, Dorphin Depths. A lot of these are outer areas. So like Derelict takes place in these abattoir townships that exist at the borders between the cities and the Ghostwoods. Ghostwoods are area where the folds overlap with our reality, warping the people who live there. So in that township, it's almost like a gothic horror. We're going back to kind of pre-industrial civilization, like almost a Victorian or a gothic feel to it. It's gothic horror set in the setting. And then when you get to the Ghostwoods, those are just straight up um, fantasy setting in this post-apocalyptic world, where the fold energy, like for instance, you have the fold Tyrannog, which is changing the people into sea elves, and so these sea elves and the people who are native to Tyrannog are trying to colonize regions of the land, which the denizens of the Yomi are trying to protect. And these clashes are happening throughout these Ghostwood areas, these areas that overlap. And then the Eternal Mind Dorfin Depths is, again, going along those lines where fold energy is making people more and more dwarf-like, more and more dwarven in their things, in this eternal mind that has pockets within the earth that people can come out into our world. So we talked about three of the folds there, or four of the folds. The other one being the necropolis, which is what's affecting the Epcot townships. Those five folds have really messed up society. We are starting to forget the ways that we were. The walled cities are these corporate ran cities where human life is cheaper than the technology that we make. The Abattoir townships, they treat you well, but you may be the next dinner for the person who's running the town. The Ghostwoods, yeah, it's basically a border skirmish, but the real trouble is, or the real threat is spirit beasts taking and bringing the souls of the dead with them, attacking these outposts. All the games sat in Urde, as I said, are meant to be compatible. You can mix and match list building with the different mission types. But all that aside, we talked a lot about that. How does Rustbelt work? The one that's coming out now. Well, when you set up the game, you will roll 4 terrain pieces on the neighborhood table if you're playing solo. Those 4 terrain pieces will take up a majority of 1 to 4 sectors and kind of build up your room. Then you roll for what missions you're doing. If you have a cryptid, you'll actually roll for the cryptid, and what the flaw of the cryptid is will tell you your mission. The idea of it is you're not meant to plan around what mission's coming up. You're not meant to change your list. You're meant to have a list that you go to, your own canon list that is your camp. And you get to see the story that unfolds for them, the tales that they go through, the hardships, the heart that they send into the whole story. And in the end, that's Ghostwoods. Or not Ghostwoods, sorry, that's Rustbelt. I've had Ghostwoods on my mind lately because I am working on getting those rules finished in alpha. But yeah, I guess I talked a little longer about the setting than I thought. There will be more lore videos, actual game breakdowns and gameplays, like real breakdowns and gameplays, and stuff for Rustbelt, weeks coming up to the game's launch, as well as shortly after the launch. I hope y'all enjoyed this. This was fun. I am super excited to bring this game to you. It's been a passion project of mine for 12 years. And I'm finally seeing its fruition, seeing it come to its end and being released to everyone. It may seem different, it may seem weird, but that's kind of the idea. And if you're wondering what I meant by odd punk, the term odd punk for me means a punk world, a dystopian world where reality itself doesn't hold. Think of Wonderland or Oz or Neverland or Neverland, all that in the main world, in our world. One example I gave early on, I had to come up with a new world because I was calling it Weird Mageddon because that was a very similar concept, but that's a concept I don't own. The word is from something Disney owns, and I don't want to worry about that. But then we also have like other things like or other media going through and stuff. It's very environmental, and things are just not what we know scientifically. And so the hardships aren't just due to a villain. The world has villains, but there's no singular villain. The heart of what they have to do with is they are scary. The world is scary. Nature is scary in this future, and it's all about survival, all about bringing back community, and in the end, seeing things through. Well, this has been Edwis. We will hopefully get with you more. I'm not sure which me you guys will see next, but hopefully you guys get to enjoy the game soon. And don't forget, I love you all. Bye.